Black Myth Wukong, one of the best games of 2024, is finally on Xbox. Sony almost got this game exclusively on PS5 for the last year. Some say it's because Sony potentially made a deal with the Chinese developers, but the official reason given is the Xbox Series S. Just like Baldur's Gate 3, Black Myth Wukong didn't come to Xbox because of the weaker Xbox Series S. That's what they're saying. So how does this game run on the Series S? If you're wondering about the more powerful Xbox Series X, well, that's going to be similar to the base PS5, but the performance on the Series S is really what's interesting. Xbox Series S still gets the 3 modes as we saw on the PS5. There's quality mode, balance mode, and performance mode. There's a lot of FSR scaling going on here, but the game looks decent in terms of the visuals. Quality mode targets 30 FPS and runs between 720p to 1080p dynamic resolution. Balance mode bumps the frame rate to around 45 FPS, and it still targets that similar 720p to 1080p dynamic resolution, but with that higher frame rate, the average resolution is for sure lower than quality mode. Balance is also best used with a 120Hz display, where it'll target around 40 FPS with VRR and give you kind of that best balance between visuals and FPS. The last mode, performance, this is also on Series S. Performance modes targets 60 FPS, but the resolution suffers and it's around 540p to 720p dynamic. Visually, the game isn't as crisp and sharp as a more powerful PS5 Pro, but you know what? It's not too bad. Things are pretty good when you're just standing still. Now, of course, when you're moving around, you move the camera around, it's another story. That's where the PS5 Pro, being a lot more powerful, is gonna look better. The dynamic resolution on the Series S gets a lot more aggressive on that weaker console, and with this side by side, you can sort of see that when the game is in action, in motion. Next, let's look at the FPS performance. Quality mode targets 30 FPS and does a pretty good job handling that 30. In high demand areas like the prologue, there are drops, but they're somewhat minor. If you want the most consistent FPS, quality mode might be it. Of course, a low 30 FPS isn't really ideal for an action game like this. Balance mode bumps the FPS to potentially 45 FPS and around 40 FPS if you have a 120Hz display. The issue here is screen tearing. Lots and lots of screen tearing. If you're wondering what screen tearing actually looks like, here I slowed down the footage to 20%. This is again balance mode. You can easily see the aggressive amount of screen tearing on the Xbox Series S. This isn't an issue on the base PS5 and the PS5 Pro. Even when the game launched, I mean, PS5 didn't have this crazy screen tearing. This is really the main performance issue on the Xbox Series S. Performance mode targets 60 FPS and does get that in low demand areas, but in high demand areas or when you're moving the camera around, there is significant drops. And then of course, there's also screen tearing in performance mode. It's not as bad as what we saw in balance mode, but it's still there. I personally recommend you play on performance mode if you have a 60Hz display. With a 120Hz display, balance mode might be a better option. Series S performance is pretty bad, but I think most casual gamers are still going to be okay with this. Ignore the screen tearing and the game runs and plays fine. Maybe that can be cleaned up in some future patches. For the rest of the video, check out some more gameplay of Black Myth Wukong on Xbox Series S with that FPS counter shown, and most of this is performance mode.
Master spoke of you. Keep quiet. You don't want to set off that beast. In the backyard is Blackwind Gwai's ally, calls itself Ling Shutsa. Considering your strength, I suggest you get away while you can, little monkey. Now that it's dead, you might as well take a good look around.